Hi friends, this is Caitlin. Welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be making a winter birthday card and tag, and this set was actually for my daughter's birthday. Her birthday was this past week, and so most of the products that I used, including the colors and the pattern paper, she picked out herself. She is 7 now, and she loves making cards. She loves looking through all of my different products, and she's very opinionated. She has a very clear sense of style, and it was all supposed to be a surprise for her, and I figured if I was going to make sure I put some extra effort into her card, that I might as well just record it. And then she had her own plans. She wanted to be an active participant. She did not want it to be a surprise. So at some point later on, you'll see her little hands come in to help me stamp the images. But I'm starting out with some My Favorite Things Grapesicle cardstock. And then this really fun snowflake pattern that she picked out from that Whimsy Stamps, like flurries. I don't remember the name. I'll have it in the description for you. I always have all of the products listed and linked in the description whenever I can for you guys. Those are affiliate links, so they don't cost you anything to use. But if you do decide to shop through them, they do help support my channel. But yeah, you guys can probably hear my voice is still a little bit off. I am still trying to get over this weird, it's not even really a cold. It could have been allergies. It's now just kind of lingering, but it's just kind of stuck in my throat. Sorry, side note really quickly. The tag set that I'm using is from Pink and Main. It's a shaker tag die set. I'm not going to be creating a shaker with it, but I just thought that having the border, the little frame border around it would be really cute because it would mirror the mat that we created for the card. And then I'm using the North Pole Pals stamp set from My Favorite Things. This keeps going in and out of stock, so I haven't wanted to use it because I hate having something there that's like this absolutely adorable and not be able to know when you guys are going to be able to get it if you decide to get it. But it was just too cute and she loved it. So I figured better this time, if I'm going to do it on a time when it's out of stock, at least it's for her birthday. But if you're watching this in the future, you can always double check it. It is clearly a very well-loved stamp set because every time I get an alert that it's back in stock within, it seems like a couple days, it's out again. She also begged for additional sparkly snowflakes on her card. So I would have stamped those on the pattern paper first and on the tag first and then assembled. But, you know, when she so politely brought me the silver glitter, I think this is called Sterling, from Pink and Main, I had to oblige. So I'm just going to free stamp some of those on and get them heat embossed. But I do just want to thank you guys so much for your patience. This video is going up a day or two late. My family is a very private family as far as their personal business goes, but I do just want to give you a heads up that we've been kind of going through a lot lately. Some different health stuff has come up on not like me and my kids or my husband, but on my family a little outside of that. So I've been kind of traveling all over, trying to give as much support and be there for my family as much as I can. So I am still making cards whenever I can. I still plan on being here as often as I can. But as always, you guys have always been so kind to me and been so patient when I've had a video go up late. So I do still want to get back to doing my Color With Me lives. Those are not going away this year by any means, but I have to catch up a little bit first. So back to our card and more fun things to talk about. So I die cut 3 of these kind of normal shaped balloons from this Pink and Main die set. There's a ton of really cute different balloon shapes in there, but I wanted something super traditional since the rest of my elements weren't necessarily birthday related. So I cut those from the same Grapesicle cardstock, and I'm ink blending the edges of all 3 with the Seedless Preserves ink. I just love how that helps bring out kind of those fun more like true violet or pinky purple into the card, because the snowflake one is definitely more of like a BV cool purple, and I like the combination of both together, especially with that white and silver kind of being like the neutral accents. So the two balloons in the front got popped up with thin foam squares from Simon Says Stamp, my favorite foam squares. And I attached the little gray strings, which I only cut two. I don't know what I was thinking. I end up cutting a third one in a minute. And I'm attaching those with a liquid glue and just tucking them up under those balloons. I did want to kind of figure out the placement of these balloons beforehand, making sure that I had room for my largest bear kind of on the bottom left corner. But I will tell you that I misplanned my steps, and I'm going to end up stamping my sentiment on that balloon that is all the way to the left. And it's not going to go the way I hoped because there's foam under there and it's not a solid piece of foam. So if I was going to do this over again, I would make sure that I stamped this sentiment on my balloon first and then popped it up on my card. With that in mind, I just, sometimes you have to improvise and just make it work. So this is the Big Birthday Wishes set that's actually, I believe this whole set from My Favorite Things is meant to be like mini stamps to go with their like card making and crafty dies that they have, where you can like make a card of someone making a card. So these are like the sentiments that can go on the mini cards, but it was actually the perfect size for my balloon. And so you can see on the places where I couldn't get the best impression, I just went in with a Copic marker, and it was not exact, but do you know who did not care? My 7-year-old. She thinks that it's amazing and it still looked good to me. So it was not worth me trying to peel the balloon off and risking having to like go through all of that again. Now that I say that out loud, it really doesn't seem like it would have been that much of a process to just peel this off, and if I had to die cut and ink a new one. But I was just already so invested time-wise into this card that I just kept plowing forward. I did add some white gel pen accents to those balloons that I think really help bring them to life. And then I stamped out my 3 penguins and 2 bears. The bear that's sitting is going to go on our tag, and the bear that's waving and all 3 penguins are going to go on our card. And I'm stamping these with my Misty stamping platform and my Honeybee Stamps Creative Intense Black ink. This is my favorite Copic friendly ink. There's my little Kenzie's hands pointing to which bear she wants where on her projects, approving my decisions. She loves helping to stamp, and she loves using the Misty because it's so easy. And I agree. This is not an ad for Misty. But if you do have kids who like to craft, it is definitely a lifesaver. I'm not a great free stamper, so I certainly don't expect my kiddos to be either. For my polar bears, I use the same 3 colors or the same colors for both of them. I will show both processes just because the shadows go in different places, but just know that the coloring is the same for both. So I'm starting with some N3, then jumping up to N1. I did, in some instances, go in and blend out with the N0 and colorless blender, but I really just wanted these polar bears to look nice and bright white, so I tried to keep my shading as light as possible while still giving them some kind of shadow. And I decided that the best way to bring in some color to these, to really tie in all of the colors we're already working with between that cardstock and the pattern paper, was to play with their scarves. So sorry, I love that these guys all have those little scarves, and I think it's a really fun way to, like I said, bring in some more color and kind of customize them versus if they were just plain polar bears. It could be a little, I don't want to say boring because they're still so cute, but I just love the ability to bring in some more color or pattern or something extra special with those little accessories. So for both polar bears, I went with some BV markers that definitely tie more into the pattern paper. And on the penguins, I'm going to pull in some V markers that are going to be a lot closer to that grapesicle and seedless preserves. And like I said, using the same colors for this guy, really kind of emphasizing that lower left part of his belly and the bottom part of his arm that's kind of up in the air. I also played around with using a different pink than I normally would for the sitting polar bear's mouth, like his tongue, and I really like it. It's a little softer on the R markers than I usually go. I usually just use my R20 that I use for blush, but I just was worried that it would be too bubblegummy pink for all of the purple that was going on in this card. So I think it's fun. It's not a huge difference. I get it's not groundbreaking, but just a reminder to try to take little moments when you can to kind of step out of your routine when you're card making or coloring, because you might find a gem that now you can kind of work into a new routine. Something else that's really little that I've been trying to do lately is to make sure that while I'm coloring things like noses on critters, that I'm trying to leave white space as the highlight versus going back in with the gel. So like here I'm adding gel dots to the eyes, but the little highlights on the nose, I think that I get a much finer, cleaner line if I can manage to leave the white spot when I'm coloring. So again, just like a little tweak that I've been trying to focus on. I think that it's important to kind of like never stop adjusting and learning, whether this is a hobby or you're making cards, to sell, or you are becoming a colorist yourself. I don't know if professional colorist counts, maybe just artist, right? Like as artists, it's important that we keep learning. But for these little penguins, I went in with the darker side of the N neutral gray markers. Started out with my darkest shade to add in all of those shadows, and then went with the N5 and N4 for their little highlights. They're not big. You could probably do this with like one less marker, but I figured if I was already in this deep, why not just go for it? Since the N4 was the lightest highlight for their dark areas, I used it as the shadow darkest shade for my white areas, focusing it on the bottom of their faces and the bottom of their bellies and just under their scarves, and then blended that out with the N1. Added that same very light marker for their little blush marks. And then this is what I'm going in with those slightly more pinky purple V6 and V4 shades for their scarves. I just think they're so stinking cute. And I am also going to add some white gel pen dot patterning to these scarves as well in a second. I just used one orange marker for all of their little feet and beaks because there's just not enough space there to do anything else. I did not buy the coordinating dies to go with this set yet. It's on my list. I have my eye on it. My Favorite Things often has some amazing sales, so I figure I'll get it eventually, but for now I decided to just fussy cut these out. They weren't super complicated shapes, so it was not hard to do. Fussy cutting is not my favorite thing. I've been very upfront about that before, but I think this one went pretty well. Also, to be transparent with you guys, I have been guest designing for My Favorite Things for some of their weekly sketches, but this stamp set I bought completely on my own just because it's so absolutely adorable. I needed it for my stash. And my daughter and I talked about how cool it is because these bears don't have to be polar bears. That if we colored them like other bears, she thought they would be really great for spring and summer and fall too. I don't know about the penguins. I think penguins are fair use all year round, but you're kind of stuck with how you color those. I mean, maybe warm gray versus cooler neutral gray. Maybe a warm gray penguin is for summer. I don't know. But I used the same small foam squares to attach my little critters to my card. And I brought in these really pretty silver pearl embellishments from Pink and Main and just added them kind of scattered around. And most of them I tried to get on the center of the snowflakes in that pattern paper. But I thought it was kind of cool to also just have a couple around. I also happen to have the perfect purple and white baker's twine in my stash. So I added that through the loop of my tag and just folding it in half and then looping it through. And then I went ahead and filled out the back of my tag with you guys because why not? For once, I know exactly who this is going to. And yeah, this is the whole project brought together. I hope that you feel inspired to maybe the next time you need a birthday card to make a coordinating tag, because if you already have all your products out, it's super easy to just, stamp one more image, die cut one more piece, and you're good to go. So thank you guys so much for coming to hang out. I promise when I can share more of my life stuff with you, I will. But in the meantime, I'm just so grateful for you being here with me. I hope that you have an amazing week. And as always, happy crafting.